Hi there, welcome to week 3. Today we're going to tackle stress management, which is hopefully not a stressful topic. Um, so starting with what is stress? It's obviously different for different people, but the overall definition of stress is um, the body's natural response to a stressor. So, is stress always a bad thing? I don't think it is. I think that stress can be a good thing depending on the situation. So there's different types of stress, um, negative and positive. So there's eustress and distress. So distress, so negative stress. This is the bad, yucky kind of stress. It's unpleasant. This is kind of beyond our coping abilities sometimes. It can, in fact, decrease performance. It can lead to mental and physical health problems. It can negatively affect your behavior or your um, overall emotional or logical, well-being and all that. And it can be short-term or long-term. Then there's eustress. So this is the positive stress that I was talking about. So this can be motivating. This can be kind of when people use the term like to light a fire under your butt, like in a good way, as funny as that sounds. So having a stressor, but it actually motivating you to do good things. So this is totally within our coping abilities. We're able to cope with this kind of stress. This definitely improves performance. Some people claim to perform better under pressure. I'm definitely one of those people. And it can help us accomplish a task. So if there's an impending deadline, that's kind of a type of eustress because it is allowing us to accomplish a task in time. And this is definitely short term, and it can become negative if it is ongoing. So what are some examples of stress and eustress? So we talked about, what is stress and what is eustress, but we'll definitely look at some examples. And can the same stressor, so stressor being the thing that causes the stress, cause distress for one person and cause eustress for another person? Definitely things to think about. So this is my nice little infographic that shows you the optimum um, stress versus peak performance. So in the green zone, you have the inactive and bored. So you're not really getting anything done because there's not enough stress. You're like too chill to do anything. Um, and then there's the motivated, healthy kind of tension and focused. And this is in the optimum range. So we want in that yellow zone our stress level in around there so that our performance is at its peak. And then we see that if you start to pass the orange area into the red, this is where we become fatigued. We start to have exhaustion. This is like stress overload. This is panic. This is anxiety inducing. This is like burnout. So this is like complete overstress in a negative way. So just to clarify the difference between stress versus anxiety. The difference between stress and anxiety is that stress naturally exists when a stressor is present. So there has to be an external cause to cause stress. Everyone experiences stress in various forms. Could be positive or negative, but there has to be something to cause it. Anxiety is when stress persists after the stressor is gone, or when the stressor exists without or when the stress exists without any stressor at all. So this is an internal cause. And anxiety, we have to remember that it should be treated as a totally separate issue from normal stress. So it definitely can't be managed in the same way. And it's something that, you know, you have to look at through a mental health lens rather than okay, like here, logically, we have this stress and we're going to take it away. So anxiety is totally different from that. So what are some signs and symptoms of excess stress? So some physical symptoms, you know, if you're like, you know, having way too much stress, it could cause headaches. This is really common. It can cause chest pain. People might think they're like having a heart attack from the amount of stress they're undergoing. It can cause like muscle pains. It can cause fatigue, or insomnia, which is interesting, like, you know, not being able to sleep, but also you're exhausted. So, like, you know, a mixed bag of both, maybe. Um, it can cause digestive issues, it can cause a poor immune system, and it can cause you to have like low energy or even dizziness. So, for the mental emotional side of stress, restlessness, unmotivated or unfocused, feeling overwhelmed, feeling really irritable, not really sure why, maybe that underlying stress um, is showing its side through that. And could be, you know, sadness associated with having too much stress, and definitely like low self-esteem. So as far as behavior, you might notice a change in appetite. Some people turn to drugs or alcohol abuse in the case of excess stress, which is addiction's a completely separate category as well that I don't think we're going to address today. Um, Social withdrawal, inactivity, emotional outbursts, forgetfulness, disorganization, and sometimes poor judgment, and many more. So I want to just quickly go back to um, the part where it talks about, can the same stressor cause distress for one person and eustress for another? So an example of this would be um, sometimes for me, if I get assigned a speaking role or a presentation of some kind, for me, this is like a happy kind of stress. This is eustress because this is something that obviously makes me like nervous to do, and it's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of work involved, but it's something that I like to do, and it's something that is going to be like a motivating, okay, you have to do this really well. So I end up doing a great job and I'm pretty happy with those tasks overall, even though they cause me some amount of stress to participate in them. However, for some people that can cause distress. That can be like the end all be all for someone if they, you know, have some kind of performance anxiety and they don't like to present in front of a crowd. So for me, that's eustress. For some people, that can be distress. And I can think of probably 1,000 other examples um, of that. So one being stress for someone, and then eustress for another one. Oh, I went too far here. So managing stress, general steps. These are just like general kind of tips. So identify what is causing you to be stressed. So a big one is identifying the actual stressor itself. Recognize why and how you are reacting to the stressor. So maybe you're overreacting and maybe you need to reanalyze, like, okay, why am I reacting to it in this way? Set a goal for dealing with the stress in a positive way, and practice positive stress relief. So what are some ways you can manage stress and practice positive stress relief, you might ask? Like what's the difference between positive stress relief and negative? So positive stress relief is getting your sleep, pretty basic. 7 to 9 hours is like the optimal amount of sleep to reduce stress overall. Ensuring proper nutrition, and that means something different to each individual. Physical activity, so making sure to, you know, just get up from your chair sometimes and actively take some steps. There's relaxation techniques, counseling. I think everyone should engage in counseling. It's like does incredible things for people. Fun, friends, and family. obviously, and working on time management. Also saying no and or resting when you need to. This could be really hard for people. They can't really say no to taking on additional tasks, which can definitely lead to more stress. So a positive stress relief would, to would be to turn down a task if it is going to result in the relief of some stress for you. So we talked about anxiety, but I also kind of want to talk about a specific kind of anxiety, so test anxiety. So it's common to feel stressed during an exam, but some people experience excessive test anxiety. So someone with test anxiety might experience symptoms like having nausea, like sweating a bunch, and having a headache that day that they're supposed to take a test. They could be emotional, they could be, super afraid, they can be depressed leading up to writing this test. Um, they can show anger and behavioral. So you might see like someone fidgeting or pacing, and you might recognize that in yourself if you have test anxiety. And then there's racing thoughts. So there's like going blank, so like completely forgetting everything that you studied for, and having trouble focusing in general. So managing this, um, just some tips for exam day, which you will come across eventually. So to reduce negative thinking with realistic thinking. So making sure you are well rested and avoid caffeine, because I know that sometimes just having too much caffeine can just like cause anxiety in a lot of people. Rather than spending the last few minutes before your exam cramming in information, try to relax by distracting yourself, maybe listening to some music that you enjoy. Whenever you feel panicked or overwhelmed, focus on deep breathing and reducing body tension. So maybe thinking about, okay, am I clenching my jaw right now, and try to relax that? Or okay, am I having like really horrible posture, leaning over my phone and scrolling? Maybe making sure that all of these parts of the body are relaxed. And show up for the exam. Even if you think you cannot pass the exam or the course, attending the exam will help you prepare for the next time. So in the event that you're like, whether I show up or not for this exam, I cannot pass it, you should still show up, because then you're going to see what's on the exam for if you have to take it again. It's going to be a huge step. And just remember that every point will improve your overall grade, and you will do your best, and that is all that you can do. So even if you only get some points, it's going to improve your overall grade. That's important to remember. So I want to go over realistic thinking. So realistic thinking means looking at all aspects of the situation. So looking at the positive side of things, looking at the negative side of things, and the neutral before making any conclusions. So avoid anxious thoughts by asking yourself, is this really true? What would I tell a friend who had this thought? Am I overestimating the importance of this exam? A bad outcome may be possible, but is it probable? If there is a bad outcome, what can I do to cope with it? So kind of going over worst case scenario, and even just the possibility that it would be the worst case scenario is sometimes really helpful to reduce this kind of thinking. So I am going to show you student support services. This is a great resource. So here you can kind of find any kind of help that you would need. So this is for academic distress, there's career counseling, there's mental health and well-being, and there's all sorts of support at Algonquin College that you have access to as a student. So I definitely recommend checking that out. Okay, so now that I'm in Brightspace, I just wanted to show you what we're going to be doing this week, in addition to um, obviously my little video and some additional slides for you to look at in case you wanted to look at something after I've spoken about it. We have a link for Algonquin College Counseling Services, which I kind of showed you the little overview of it. But also, you have the option to attend a Zoom session just as every other week, and I encourage you guys to do that. We're going to be doing the personal success plan assignment, and I'm just going to show you how to get there quickly. So you're going to go to activities, you're going to go to assignments, and you're going to go to week 3 personal success plan. It's going to look a little different for you guys. I have teacher view on here. Oh, I guess I see it as people who have submitted it rather than the actual assignment. So I'm wondering. Huh. Ah, okay. So it's a lot easier for me to just go to my little side column over here, go down to the direct link for assignments, and then click on instructions for the personal success plan. So just so you guys know, I've extended the deadline for these discussions until Thursday, so please participate in those. It gives everyone else a chance to participate more so that everyone in your group can be successful. And so, okay, we have week 3, and this is going to be due September 27th. So I'm going to click for instructions, and it's going to bring me to the Google Doc with the assignment instructions. So this is kind of what it looks like. There's examples, and your grading information is down here. It's pretty straightforward. This is a really basic assignment. It's there to help you create a semester plan, and really at a minimum, it's gonna just kind of show you your overall schedule for all of your assignments, and it's gonna make you less stressed, which is very on theme for this week. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and email me if you have any questions as always.